Cool, I see it.
There we go. All right, we're live once again with episode 89 of the Super Deformed Gamescast. Sorry for being late, guys. As you can see, we're trying something new. We're trying Discord video chat, and it's been a kind of an interesting journey setting it up. So hopefully this is coming through okay, guys. I can't. So I'm doing window capture, so I can't actually change to look at the YouTube page on the internet. I guess I could do it on my phone, but can anybody look and confirm whether or not we are actually showing up on the YouTube page? Because if we're not, this is all for nothing.
Yeah, I see it. We're rolling right now.
Where are we rolling right now? Okay, so if everybody could tweet that link out.
Either it's working or someone made a very good copy of our podcast.
Whoa, what if that's possible? Is that possible?
Well, it's harder to make a worse copy.
That is an excellent point. That is an excellent fucking point. Okay,
it's pretty funny, like on the YouTube stream, like the biggest like avatar's me, and it's just like this photo of mine, so it's just like blue.
I like
So
it.
wait,
It's,
how does it work? Are we
it's
on
calming.
YouTube
A
still?
little bit of ambiance.
All right, cool. All right, so we are live. Excellent. That's actually really good to know. So for a minute there, I was afraid this wasn't going to work, and let me see what it looks like actually. Now that I know we're live, oh, that looks pretty good actually. That's not too bad. I'm digging the. I'm kind of digging the. It'll look better next week once we have more time to fuck with it. I'm kind of digging the look of Discord though. I like this. This is good. Okay, well, anyway, got a lot of cool shit to talk about. We have a guest tonight, Kyle Foley. Dude, why don't you introduce yourself to people in chat as they filter in who may not know who you are, and tell them a little bit about yourself and where people can find you, my man.
Okay. Well, I'm Kyle, as he said. And I mostly just do stuff on Twitter right now. I'm technically, officially, the gaming and tech editor for the site that I work for. However, the site hasn't actually put anything up yet. So I've been working and I've been getting paid for it, but none of it's gone out there. So when it does, that will all be found on Twitter, and that should be like in the next couple of days. We'll have some stuff going. But pretty much the gist of what I do is not much else.
Cool.
You
That's
play
awesome,
games
dude.
and
Yeah,
you write about them.
you play a lot of Destiny. I do know that, and you survive hurricanes as well.
Yeah, I actually, whenever a hurricane comes, the second people on the news, I live in Orlando, Florida, so whenever the people on the news say, all right, it's time to go inside, the first thing I do is put my phone in a plastic bag and go outside.
That's fucking fantastic.
It's great.
I salute
It's
you
fun.
for that. Well, dude, I'm glad we've been trying to get you on for a while, or at least I have. So glad you're here, dude. Thanks for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us. And we also got Brandon and Gabe is back. Gabe is back on the podcast after how long has it fucking been since you've been on, Gabe?
Probably 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months. It's been a long fucking time, dude.
I'm just thinking of the Titanic gif. It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years.
Gabe's an old man now. Punished Gabe.
Why does nobody but me and Kyle and Finn have their cameras on? You sons of bitches, turn your cameras on. Let's see
I
your
don't
beautiful.
believe in
Up to
cameras,
Use
See
the
your-
cameras.
or at least
See-
web cameras.
See your beautiful faces. But Gabe is back. Unfortunately, there's no JT tonight. But Brandon is also here. Brandon usually has his camera on. I don't know where Brandon's at. But
Overwatch while we're doing this. He doesn't want us to see us.
He
see us
probably-
do-
he probably
see him
is.
doing that.
is he even there? Brandon, you there? No, he's not there.
Around eventually.
He'll be around, and Jay's here, and Finn is here, minus Saki, thankfully.
That's what you think, sucker.
Yeah, we'll see about that. So, a lot of cool shit to talk about, and we got a really cool topic at the end of the show. Brandon. I guess Brandon is having some technical difficulties, so hopefully he will be with us here in a minute. But I wanted to start off with a little Destiny 2 talk, because I know quite a few people on the podcast have played that. I know Kyle has played it extensively, as have I. Jeff has played. Who else here has been playing some? Who else has been playing some Destiny here?
I have still not been able to jump in.
It's really good. So Finn hasn't. Gabe, what about you? Have you played Destiny 2 at all?
Of course
Can you hear
not.
me now?
Okay. Well, I forget.
No,
You're.
I
forget.
hate that.
Oh, Brandon's here. I think
Brandon's
I heard
here. I can hear Brandon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
I had it on push to talk for Discord. That's
I don't see any video, but I do hear you. So yeah, Brandon, have you played Destiny 2 yet?
No, I was not the biggest fan of the first one, so it's just
That's right. Yeah, I remember you didn't.
it's
fucking
more
care
of the
for that.
same, right? So
I hated the first one, and I love the second one.
Yeah, let's talk about
It's
that.
definitely more the same. It's not broken anymore.
Yeah,
It's
I played
better.
the beta for the second
Alright.
one, and I found
I'm
it
just
kind
not
of
really
boring.
like in the mood for that genre.
It's so here's the deal with Destiny 2,
Overwatch.
right? Like it right off the bat, Destiny, like the story is okay, let's face it, it's not gonna win
It
fucking,
exists.
yeah, like it's not gonna win any fucking screenwriting awards or
Quite a
anything.
step up over the first one with the
Which is
whole,
a low
I don't
fucking
have
bar.
time to explain.
I don't have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. Which is that's an actual quote from the fucking storyline.
Legendary line of
Legendary
dialogue
fucking
right
quote
there.
from, but there's no that wizard came from the moon, or that really what was that line when you're in the cabin? He says, "I've got a bad feeling about this." Yeah, which is
Oh man, Dinklebot was
Dinklebot phoned it in, man.
an unfortunate
Can
occurrence.
I point something out?
Yes, you may.
You guys know the meme, like you know, Ellie, we really are the Last of Us, like
Yes.
that whole like the name of the game in the. So in Destiny, they actually use the catchphrase from the first game in the script in Destiny 2. Like at some point in the Destiny 2 campaign, I won't spoil when, but somebody exclaims, "I have become legend."
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I have become
super
legend.
I have
weird and
become legend.
cringy,
Yeah, it's
but-
near the end of the game.
That sounds terrible.
It's still
It
not
does-
near,
it does
it's still not nearly as bad as any of the dialogue from Destiny 1.
No, like Destiny 2 is actually kind of self-aware, so it almost works.
Yeah, so like,
Are you guys saying it's like the Watch Dogs 2 of loot shooters?
I wouldn't go that far. I like by any stretch of the imagination.
A
What I
little
will
bit.
say,
Like the cool thing about Destiny 2, I don't know how much they did in Destiny 1 of this because there was no story, but like the fact that you're a video game character is like written into the lore. So like they constantly reference the fact that you just die 100 times and your ghost keeps bringing you back. Like that's part of the world
Yeah.
and part of the thing. So that's kind of cool.
well,
They're not trying to pretend that it like makes it like they just accept it. It's like, yeah, you die and you come back to life, you die and come back to life. Like,
well, one of my favorite things about Destiny 2 is like when you start off, and I mean, I guess spoiler alert, but it's like
I mean,
the first
they did.
2
Hold
minutes
on,
of the game.
they did that in 2 Human as well. Like they had the Valkyrie bring you back.
Oh, but yeah, don't remind me about 2 Human. Oh,
I'm
that
sorry, well, I
fucking
had
game.
to.
That fucking
It's a good game.
It wasn't. It wasn't awful.
Dude, that game was terrible. 2
It was
Human.
It was like
for
a
the longest
6.
time, that was my biggest disappointment in games.
Saki is actually my biggest gaming disappointment, but
You're a liar.
but
Saki
it's wait till we talk about our one of our topics later. But like right off the bat, what I like about Destiny 2 is that in the beginning it really feels like it ups the stakes. Like you are separated from the light at the beginning of the game, and you don't have your ghost, and it's like for maybe like the first couple missions of the game, he says, "Well, I can't revive you if you die," and it was really really jarring to see your guardian, who is basically like more or less a fucking superhero, right? Kind of stagger through the streets of the city, completely powerless. It was a weird, and then you walk into that field, and I know the game itself is not fucking Skyrim, it's in space, but when you walk out of the city and that landscape opens up in front of you, and you see the mountains and the grass, I was like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. I was like, this is what I came here for. And then of course the story has I hate, like, I get this is a ridiculous thing to gush about, and maybe this speaks to why Destiny 1, like, the storyline was just so bad, but like I'm like, oh my god, this game has NPCs in the storyline. That's fucking amazing. like, and I don't know what that says about Destiny 1 or about me, but I got really excited playing the Destiny 2 campaign and realizing there were actual NPCs in the storyline that you interact with and who had a critical role.
Thing that just states about how bad the first Destiny game was.
Yeah, it was. Well, everything about Destiny 2 actually makes me question what I really loved about Destiny 1, if that makes any sense.
I mean, the
I
gunplay, right?
looked at screenshots of Destiny 2, and I will say that aesthetically, like, it looks really pleasing, like the world design and whatnot.
So this game benefited a great deal from the switch to or from kind of leaving last generation consoles behind, because visually the game looks phenomenal.
It looks really great.
It does. Like, the particle effects are really good, and the smoke effects. There's a lot more going on. The lighting and the bloom is really good. especially that last mission. And you know, Jeff and Kyle know what I'm talking about. But those last few missions, where you know the scope, you know, and the traveler, like it's just, oh, it's pretty incredible. Like the my only problem with the story was, and I know Kyle has finished it. I know Jeff has finished it. I won't get into heavy detail about the final boss, but I thought the final boss, after such a great campaign, and it was a great campaign, like it gave me Halo vibes. But the final boss, like, I sat in a hallway and shot his foot until he died, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then something happens after you kill the final boss, and you're like, oh, now the real fight's gonna start, and then nothing. It's like, oh, never mind. And I feel like the final boss of the game was a complete letdown, and kind of ended such a great campaign with, like, I don't know, kind of a wet fart. I wanted to see.
It's hard to do FPS final bosses.
Yes,
I've got
and
a lot
no.
to say about the game, but I will wait my turn.
No, Jeff, please do jump in, man.
If Kyle wants to say something, I can wait. It's okay.
No, I'll let you go ahead. I'll jump in if I have something.
All right. So I'm kind of coming at this from maybe a different side. Like, you know, a lot of people poured hundreds or thousand hours into Destiny 1. I literally played the whole campaign in 5 hours. I grinded out 15 hours to get to the level for the raid. I played like half the raid and I was just burnt out, so I quit. And then about a month before Destiny 2 came out, because I bought the Taken King a long time ago, I went back, played through the Taken King quests, which were still mostly shit. But I did the raids. The raids were really fun. I had a good group of people help me through that to get all like ready for Destiny 2. Because despite all my disappointments with Destiny 1, I was still really looking forward to Destiny 2 because I was confident that they would fix all the problems with it. And the other flip side to that is I think it took me literally 3 years, but eventually I was able to separate my expectations from what the game actually is. And what I mean by that is when Destiny 1 came out, this isn't all the game's fault, but I had this vision of going to all these different planets. Like I'm talking 10, 15, 20 different planets, kind of Mass Effect style, jumping all over the galaxy, doing all this stuff with my friends, this big epic story. And what I got was not that. What I got was like mission after mission, going back to the same location for the 5th time, shooting these bullet sponge enemies, and it just like totally, like I couldn't play the game because it just was not what I was hoping it would be. But once I kind of went back just before Destiny 2 came out and played the raids and kind of got the progression system and understood, okay, this is what the game is. This is just about shooting shit with your friends. And having fun with that and kind of the challenge aspect of it in terms of things like Nightfall, and the strikes and stuff like that. Like I'm like, okay, it's basically co-op horde mode, with these set events. So from that lens, like I went to Destiny 2 and I love it. Like as everyone said, everything's better. There is a story this time. The progression is much better. The shooting is still just as good, if not better. It looks better. Everything is streamlined. It is what the game should have been. But that said, I still have a lot of problems with it, and I'm probably going to write a review for our site and go into it. A couple things. I think the story is there. It's not the worst. It's not very good. I feel like it starts off very strong and does a bunch of things in the first couple missions where I'm like, this doesn't feel like Destiny. Like this actually feels like an adventure game or like something bigger in scope. And then the middle 70-80% of the game is the same missions as Destiny 1, where you're just in a mission, you're going from point A to point B, you're completely by yourself, it's just your ghost talking to you. And it's better because the ghost dialogue is better, because there's other characters talking to you over your radio or intercom or whatever, but there's still no one else there with you. And that's the one thing I find weird about this game. John, you were talking about NPCs. There are NPCs, they do stuff in cutscenes. The NPCs don't exist in the game outside of that very early part.
Yeah, that's
there's
a
no
good
NPCs.
point.
There's no teammates with you in this. When you run into them in the locations they are, like the tower or in the earth, they're not roaming around. They're not walking. They're not doing stuff. They're literally just standing in the same spot every single time, all the time. And it's really weird. Like, and I don't know if there's a limitation with their engine or something where they don't have the system for these AI to do something. When I heard there might be towns in this, there kind of is towns. Like, there's the farm and the stuff on the earth, but like, it's not. It's just, again, it's not what I expected or hoped it would be. But it's still better because since these people have a presence in the cutscene, since they have dialogue when you talk to them, they are characters now. So they're not just basically human-shaped vending machines. Like there's more to them. But that's one of my main concerns. The other thing I think is the progression is actually flipped from Destiny 1. It's a bit too fast.
I agree
And
with that. Yep.
what I mean by that is I was going through the story, doing a campaign mission, doing some adventures, kind of spacing things out, not trying to speed through it, getting a little taste of everything. And I hit level 20 like halfway through the campaign. So not only does that make the end of the campaign pretty easy, but it also means by the time you get to the end, so when you hit level 265, which is like your power level, there's two different levels, right? There's like the game level cap, 20, your character.
I still call it light. Like I can't get over calling it light. I still call it
I
light.
think most people.
Okay, so you're light level. When you hit 265, a lot of the ways that you get gear gets capped. You can get them from turning stuff into vendors. Those get capped at 265 for quite a while, which means there's only a few ways to get more powerful gear. And where I'm going with this is you become so powerful by the end of the campaign just doing the stuff. There's a lot of things left over, like these adventures, which are basically side quests, but you can't get higher level gear from doing those.
Yeah.
So you're really only left with one type of strike, doing some PvP Crucible. So there's no incentive for people who are looking to upgrade to go back and play these things. And if you're spending hours because you want to go and do the side quests, you're not getting rewarded and not leveling up. And it's a big problem in a game like Destiny because it's constantly about that progression, keeping up with your friends, getting higher levels so you can do all the in-game stuff. So
yeah,
those are the big problems. But I think I'll let you guys go from there. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that long.
No, dude, that was a great rundown. I agree with a lot of your points, and I'd like to respond, but I want Kyle to jump in because I know Kyle has played it extensively, and I want to see I want to see if he echoes your sentiments or if he feels something different. Because I've got my own opinions, but Kyle, why don't you jump in and take the baton?
Yeah, so I think one of the things with Destiny 2, I do agree with basically a lot of what was said, in that the game is a lot better. It is, it's been improved upon. All the things that were bad in the first Destiny, for the most part, seem to be fixed. The one problem that the game, I think, is running into is the same problem that Destiny 1 had in the beginning, was once you get to the max, there's not much to do. I mean, I'm at the point now where I'm trying to grind up to do the raid, and that gets boring. Last weekend, I played 10 hours between 2 days, and I went up 4 power levels, and I was pissed. I was frustrated. It's like, I don't know why I spent all this time. And I played with maybe 1 or 2 other people, so it wasn't too bad, but it wasn't super great. So the one thing I've realized with this game is unless you are playing with a fire team, once you get to that 265 mark, the game becomes essentially pointless until more content starts to come out, which sucks because it's a great game. It looks great. It feels great. I don't think I've ever played a shooter that just flows as nicely as Destiny does, both the first one and the second one. It just feels, the mechanics of it are fantastic, and they just still don't quite know how to get that end game content to the point where someone can play it by themselves or with a group for a long period of time and not feel like they've wasted any time, not feel like any of that time has been spent just doing things that don't matter, which is exactly how I feel when I'm having to run the same strikes over and over and over again and getting absolutely nothing out of it. And then getting pissed that I spent all that time doing in a game that I admittedly absolutely love. So it's the same problems they're seeing they had with Destiny 1, which means I have a feeling they're going to fix this as soon as DLC starts coming out later this year. But the problem is it shouldn't cost me $20 to keep playing and have fun. There should be other stuff that's in the game already for me to be able to feel like it's worth continuing to play.
So that's the thing, right? Is I was super high on Destiny Destiny 2 when I was going through the campaign, and I still am really enjoying the game. It's a fantastic game, and I'm sure I'll put 1,000+ hours into it, like I did Destiny. But I find myself slipping into that love-hate relationship that I had with Destiny 1, right? And it's for the very same reasons that you and Jeff have laid out. Like once you hit 265, most of the game becomes pointless. Unless you're doing the weeklies, like, the weekly call to arms, the weekly nightfall, the weekly, the flashpoints. That's how you get gear that isn't kept at 265. But everything else, once you hit power level or light level 265, that's it. All those activities become meaningless. Like I ran a strike. I'm like light level 289 right now. And I ran a strike just to see if I would get... And all my strike gear was dropping at 265. And I was like, well, why the fuck would I do a strike? This is meaningless to me. This is pointless. So unless I want to raid, or do the weeklies, like, or just jump in the Crucible and the PvP is really fun. I like it. I mean, it's Bungie. Like Brandon mentioned earlier. I mean, their gunplay is impeccable. Like nobody does first person gunplay like Bungie does. I think we can probably all agree on that. They're masters. But none of the gear I'm getting out of the Crucible means anything because it's all dropping at 20, 25 levels below my light level. So why the fuck am I going to use it?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Because I mean, like for World of Warcraft, when they introduced the battlegrounds, like you were getting the best gear from being the best of battlegrounds. Like,
and there's no point.
So on that point, there's a couple things I'll commend Bungie on, though. Even though once you get past 265, that's where problems come in. I do appreciate that the raid launched at 260 because getting to 260 is fairly straightforward, fairly quick, and fairly enjoyable. I didn't feel any grind. And in the first game, I at least remember when I played it at launch, getting to do Vault of Glass to get to that light level was a pain. You had to grind the shit out of it. And I think they fixed that approach now. I think their goal was they wanted to get more people into the raid. And that's dangerous because then you kind of lose the feeling of it being special and difficult to achieve. But I think they balance that because this raid is fucking hard. I did Vault of Glass and King's Fall, and this is harder. Some of the changes they made, like the fact that you only have 25 seconds to revive people, you only have one revive per person. There's some things there that would be modifiers in like a hard mode of the raid before, but they aren't. So I think they balanced it by letting more people play it, but making it harder to complete. And
I'm not sure how I feel about it, Jeff.
There.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, to be honest with you. I've made it all the way to the final boss of the raid, but it took us about combined 8 hours of playing across 4 days to get there. And there's one encounter, and it's practically infamous now. It's the encounter with the dogs in the gardens where I almost I wanted to delete the game. I was so mad. I was like, fuck this game, fuck this raid. Jeff knows what I'm talking about. It is this area in the pleasure gardens that is not just incredibly difficult, but also incredibly glitchy. Because it's Brandon and Finn and fucking Jay and Gabe are all going to cringe. It has a heavy stealth element to it. And and this is not the kind of game where I want fucking stealth.
Yeah.
You
want to shoot shit.
It's a first-person shooter. This isn't Thief or Deus Ex.
And of course, stealth in Destiny or in any it involves crouching and walking. Like that's it, Yeah. And there's these fucking creatures running around that you've got to try to hide from, and they will they will glitch out and just see you, and then that's that. And I'm like, why? Like it's awful. It makes me, when I finally finish the raid, I want to do it once, and I don't plan on doing it for a very long fucking time, if ever again, because I just feel it's horribly imbalanced. And I wanted to real quick talk about sales real quick, simply because apparently the game is it's selling well. I mean, it's Destiny, but it is not reaching the sales heights that Destiny 1 did. And I wanted to loop in Gabe because Gabe, being a PC gamer, like a lot of people have said, this is they think this is because people are holding out for the PC version, but I'm not so sure about that, Gabe. Like, what do you think about that, man?
No way. Yeah.
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, I particularly was thinking about getting the PC version, but honestly, I watched some streams, I watched some reviews, and apparently it's just same old Destiny with some story, I guess.
Well, I guess
I feel like it's the same thing that happened with like Titanfall 2. Is like, so many people bought into Titanfall 1, and like Destiny there just wasn't a lot of content. So like when they announced the sequel, it's like, oh, it's so much better. We're building it from the foundations. Like this is a complete package, and like that's great. But it's like I've already been ripped off. So like, why should I buy it again and trust you?
I mean, so I bought Overwatch a year and a half ago, and I'm not buying no Overwatch 2. Like,
but this is the thing.
You get those expectations.
Every single World of Warcraft expansion goes through, or any game that is going to change significantly over time. People burn through the opening content and then complain that there's not enough to do, but.
It's true. It's true. That's happened with every single game, like every Diablo game.
That is designed to be doled out and serviced over time. Like World of Warcraft is always a perfect example. A new expansion comes out, people go hardcore and they power through and they binge on it, and then they're like, I'm done. Why isn't there anything else? And like, as you know it's coming, it's not their fault that you cracked out for a full week and...
Exactly.
I don't know.
Like, Diablo 2 is considered an absolute classic now, but like before Lords of Destruction, there was nothing to do when you beat the game, and people were pissed about it.
To kind of clarify that though, like I'm not saying that there's I don't know. I can't speak for everyone else. I'm not saying there's nothing to do when you finish Destiny 2. There's a lot of stuff to do in the game. My issue with it is that the stuff to do does not level you up. So the progression, there's no incentive to do a lot of the stuff. And that could be remedied if all of the activities would drop you higher engrams or design it in a way that it does allow you to keep progressing. So I don't take issue with the amount of content there. It's how it's designed. I think that's the problem.
In this day and age as well, like people are just, like maybe they're just waiting for like the complete edition to come out at this point. Like they know what Destiny's all about. They know like
for sure.
Like like they I mean like we're already all have been like everyone who's playing like we're already like bitching about like how there's really no content once you hit like a certain like light or power level or whatever it's called.
I mean, it's all relative though, right? Like some people love that. Some people love that gameplay loop. Some people say, okay, I want to hop in on Tuesday and get my weeklies done. I want to zip through Crucible and play with my friends. And now you've got and you're like, it's getting better. Like I guess next week you have the faction rally.
That's not like a lot of people though.
Well, I mean, I think it'll be enough to ensure that the game's survival over the long term. I mean, Destiny's one of those games where. It's going to have legs, and people are going to play it for years. And there's some hyperbole about, oh well, it's not selling as well as the previous one did, so it's a flop. But I mean, I think people. I mean, Matt Piscatella, our NPD, he's actually in chat, our friend at NPD. He very, very smartly pointed out when the game launched that the real goal is the long game for a game like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's the 10-year plan, man.
Yeah, the 10-year plan. So we'll have there's Iron Banner next month, and then next week you get the faction rally stuff. Like the content is coming. I just like. I'm with you guys.
I feel like Destiny's gonna sell like more like in a month than it is going to right now when there's like more content rolling in.
I can see
it's definitely going to be an evergreen title because I think this one overall is way more received or better received because of its stronger focus on
the meta score is like 12 points fucking higher.
It's the perfect example of a game where like someone like rushes through it and they get like their character leveled up as much as they want to, and then they sell it or trade in, and then like once more content comes in, like they rebuy the game.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it'll be fine on console. I do have some reservations about how it'll do on PC long term, just because I don't think the PC is as simple as it's just another platform. You can put any game on it that you put on consoles, it'll do just as well. I think the PC audience and the type of games that they play are very different from console players. Their expectations are different just because of the history a lot of PC games have. And, that's not to say there isn't a lot of people that just play Destiny on PC and still love it.
It's true. I agree with you, but I think Destiny is still right up the PC gamers' alley.
I don't know.
It will. I'm saying I don't ever think the numbers are going to be what they are on consoles.
I agree. I agree. I was going to make that same point. I don't think the PC Destiny community is going to be anywhere near what the size is on PS4 or Xbox.
Bungie has that console history.
Yep.
So.
But during Black Friday.
I mean, not to say that Bungie doesn't have a PC history.
They're going to be. This is going to be discounted $39.99 for the holidays. Destiny 2 is going to get a huge holiday push.
I mean, there's already been like Destiny 2 Xbox bundles. Like you could buy a Destiny 2 a controller and a charge kit for like $70 on eBay already. I mean, Destiny 2 is gonna be cheap by Black Friday, and that's when like a lot of the content's gonna be out by then too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to
right now. I feel like pretty much right now, like the launch of it's like the early adopter version, and then like
I don't think the sales are as dire as some of the articles are making it out to be.
No,
everything I've seen has been talking physical. So there's two parts to this, right? Like digital ownership is so different now than it was when the first game came out 3 years ago, in terms of like the split between that and physical. And not only that, there's also the natural. So there's going to be the people that were burned on the first game and didn't buy the second game, which will be a good number of people, but not all of them. But there's also so much more competition now. Like in 2014. There was not a lot of games to play. That's why games like Watch Dogs could launch and sell like fucking 6 or 7 million copies, because it's just like, oh, I need something to play on my PS4, Xbox One. I'll pick this big game up. But now it's like, look at all the shit we got this year. There's tons of other stuff to choose from.
Dude, it's like Jeff is reading my fucking mind. I was going to make that exact same point. there's more to choose from. I mean, you got games like Overwatch didn't exist when Destiny 1 launched. Titanfall 2 didn't exist when Destiny 2 or when Destiny launched.
Battlegrounds.
Lawbreakers. Lawbreakers.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, none of these games.
It's crazy too. It's crazy too. Like Destiny 1, like when it launched, like you have to remember, like Borderlands was kind of big then, like loot games were, and now like the big hype is battle royale games.
Yep.
Yeah.
By the way,
it's just like in the 3 years, like the landscape of first-person shooters has changed a lot.
By the way, like a quick point. I've seen people saying that they think Borderlands 3 is going to fail. I don't think it is. I think no. I think it's gonna be another Battleborn. I'm like no. Like no.
It's gonna do decent. I don't think it's gonna do Borderlands 2 numbers, but I think it'll do decent.
I think it will. I think it'll do Borderlands 2 numbers. I think there is a. I mean, that's the game that everybody wanted. They didn't want Battleborn. They wanted Borderlands.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason Battleborn didn't sell is because it was not Borderlands 3.
That's true.
And I think there is, comparing, there's a lot of comparisons between, like, there's no place for I've seen people say this, that there's no place for Borderlands in a post-Destiny world, but these are two completely different games. I mean, they sound similar on the surface, but Borderlands is much more similar to, like, Diablo. It's meant to be played over and over and over again. I think there is a place in the market for both Destiny and I almost said Battleborn. That is clearly not the fucking case. But there is a place in the market for Destiny and Borderlands. I would love to see what Matt Piscatell in the chat thinks about that.
I didn't think it mattered.
What was that? Hello? What was that? What didn't matter? That was weird.
I think this is the perfect time to do our sponsorship message for tonight.
What the fuck just happened? That was so weird. Did you guys hear that? Somebody says like it doesn't matter. And then like there was dead silence for like 10 seconds. I'm like, what is happening on this fucking podcast right now?
This is from Taco Bell. If you spend $5 at Taco Bell, you have a chance to win an Xbox One X every 15 minutes. Power to the gamers.
I actually bought one of those quesarito or whatever the fuck they are boxes, and I did not win an Xbox One, so I'm not.
I have a very serious question.
This is a true story. When I was a freshman in college, I bought like 30 or 40 of those boxes trying to win a PlayStation 4, and then I realized
how much did that cost you?
That money.
You're an idiot. Wait, what was your question, Kyle?
Now I have a question about the wording of this. It says you chance to win an Xbox One X every 15 minutes. Does that mean every 15 minutes you have a chance? Or that if you win one, you will get one every 15 minutes.
Whoa! Holy shit!
I think pretty much what happens is like you put the code in, and like they'll select the winner like every 15 minutes.
No, I don't know. Is it? I took it as though it meant like there's a winner every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, like every 15, in my second reality, there would be a winner every 15 minutes. It would just be you. Every 15 minutes, you'd be getting one.
Xboxes for life.
That would be way too many Xbox One X's, dude.
You'd be like fucking Xbox Santa Claus, just like dropping Xboxes down.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if I end up winning an Xbox One X from Taco Bell, I'm gonna give it up. I'm gonna give it away on the podcast.
Anyway, listeners, Super Deformed Gamecast, go visit your local Taco Bell today for your chance to win Xbox One X.
Somebody tweet this out to Taco Bell, please, and tell them that we're looking for sponsorship. Like, I'm serious. We'd love that. We'd love some.
I had 2 chili cheese burritos tonight, and I found on Twitter today only a few have them. I just take them for granted here, so I don't know if we're special in Canada or what the deal is.
Well, we would love some Taco Bell sponsorship. So please, somebody in chat, tweet that out to Taco Bell that they need to sponsor Super Fun Gamescast. We would really fucking appreciate that. I want to kind of segue real quick away from Destiny, and I want to tell you guys just a little bit about Metroid: Samus Returns. I wrote a review on this, and it's on our website. You can find it on OpenCritic. Metroid: Samus Returns is easily going to be in my discussions for Game of the Year at the end of the year. It is fucking fantastic. If you have a 3DS, you need to go out right now and go pick up Samus Returns. It is the best 2D Metroid since Super Metroid, bar none. Like, it's not even a question. It's better than Zero Mission. It's better than Fusion. It is actually, for me... Go ahead.
You're lying now.
No,
I'm
not.
Totally lying.
No, I'm not. Have you played Samus Returns, my friend?
I don't.
No, you have not. No, you have not. Your 2 seconds of silence tells me all I need to know.
Last one I played was Fusion on my GameCube, and like it was fun. But like
this is a better game than Metroid Fusion. And I was so worried about this game because Mercury Steam generally doesn't make great games. Like I like the first Lords
They
of
made
Shadow.
the Lords of Shadow, yeah, right.
I like the first Lords of Shadow. The second one was awful, and then the one for 3DS, Mirror of Fate, I think it was just not a good game. But man, now I want them to make all the 2D Metroid games. They really just knocked that out of the fucking park. I mean, it's just a little thing.
Maybe they won't because.
Well, dude, like all the little.
It seems like they care about 2D Metroid more than Nintendo does.
They clearly do. I mean, dude, like just the little things that went into this game that just kind of like blow you away, like Samus's animations, like little stuff, like she'll be firing her arm cannon, and then when you stop, she sits there for a minute, and then she like braces herself, and I'm like, that's fucking cool. Like it makes just little stuff like that makes the world feel lived in, and it really, really has that awesome sense of isolation that, you know, the Metroid series is known for. There's very little story, just like any Metroid game. Like it opens with a few expository, single frame cutscenes, and then that's it. You're in the game, and it just feels like you're playing a classic Metroid. And it is also, by the way, the best looking 3DS game, bar none. Look at that! Look at my boy Finn right there.
Animal Crossing New Leaf exists.
I actually am. I started my Fusion playthrough tonight. I'm playing it on. I
have 8 Metroids left.
It is a Finn. So Finn, I want you
to clarify. I'm going to grab my Returns game. Isn't Samus Returns a remake of the second Metroid?
It is.
Yeah, the Game Boy one.
It is reimagining, really.
So it's a whatever. Adding so much new gameplay mechanics that it's not even, you can't even compare them in the same breath. And the one thing I've always wanted to say about this game so far is I love how far they made the Metroid Fusion connection. Yes. Because in Metroid Fusion, all the enemies you fight are organisms from the second game, but they've been mutated by the parasite. And so when you play Metroid Samus Returns, you fight those same enemies from Fusion, but they haven't been transformed by the parasite yet. You fight them in their standard forms, and it's such a cool throwback, like mini bosses and regular enemies. If you had just finished playing Metroid Fusion, you'll be like, oh my god, like you make the connections to all these enemies. And that's something that didn't exist in the Game Boy one, and it's just a really cool, just lore, plot, story-wise connection to Metroid Fusion, since they both, all of the organisms and enemies take place from the same ecosystem.
So I just want to point out, Finn, that we got that punk Anthony John Agnello from VentureBeat and GamesBeat chilling out in our chat room talking that trash about how Samus Returns is not better than Metroid Fusion. So I just want to point out, Anthony, I love you, buddy, but when you're streaming The Evil Within, I will be in chat spamming Samus Returns over and over and over and over and over for you. I just want you to know that. That was mean. I shouldn't go there. I shouldn't go there. That's mean. But
turns out because I don't like the look of it all that much.
Well, I have a question for you guys about Metroid Samus Returns.
Is that Jeff?
That's me.
Why do you sound like Darth Vader?
I don't know.
Well, you know, he had Taco Bell earlier.
Guys, am I going crazy, or did Jeff's voice like get like 2 baritones deeper?
It was a little deeper.
What the hell was that?
I'm saying, guys, it's because of Taco Bell.
Jeff, you sound like the Dark Lord. Anyway, please continue. I want to hear your question.
My question is, why is a Nintendo game releasing in 2017, releasing on a device from 2011 instead of their brand new hardware?
I've got this. May I answer, John?
You may.
It's and this is purely speculation, but I feel we've lived enough in this industry to see the signs. And because if they release it on 3DS now, then you get people recommitted to the 3DS ecosystem and they buy it on 3DS. The next year, you release a slightly upgraded port with the Fusion stuff built in, and you call it Metroid Samus Returns Definitive or Switch version, and boom, you've got a whole second wave of people, including most likely a very healthy dose of double dippers.
So
everyone in this chat.
I'd agree, but I don't feel like Nintendo has a history of doing that in that method. Like all these games that came to 3DS last gen, none of them came to Wii U. Like I feel like they have a very strict divide. These are 3DS games.
Yeah, but that was different. That was that was the Wii U era Nintendo, baby. Mm-hmm. Now we're in an era where they're porting Wii U games nonstop.
So you know,
they're re-releasing their Wii U games to a new audience. I'm just saying, like I said, it's based on nothing but first information, but I would not be surprised if in 2018, to help lead up into the hype and release of Metroid Prime 4, we get a Metroid Samus Returns Switch version.
So here's my thing, and I mentioned this in my review. My biggest criticism of the game is the fact that it is a 3DS game. And I feel like the system is... I feel like the system is holding it back. It's a great game. You know, all joking aside, with my boy Anthony in chat, it does have its. I mean, it's not perfect. It does have issues. One, I think the enemies are a little too samey throughout the game.
They're palette swaps.
A lot of the enemies are palette swaps with no real clear delineation between. Nothing makes one enemy any more different than another type of enemy that's a different color. Bosses, which are kind of a staple of the Metroid series, like there are bosses and some of them are pretty spectacular, but they are fewer than you would normally find. The most of the bosses in the game are the 40 Metroids that you're hunting throughout the game. And I will also say that the game, I feel at points near the end especially, goes, and Anthony will, and since Anthony's mopping up the game too, so he'll relate to this, I'm sure. I feel like the game sometimes goes out of its way to be a little more difficult than is really necessary, just on normal difficulty. The final boss, which by the way, the final boss is fucking awesome, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but it's one of the best encounters of the game. It is also very, very difficult, and I spent about half an hour alone on the final boss last night, ready to throw my 3DS. It's the only time in the game I got truly, 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 truly frustrated. I was like, fuck! But I finally beat it, and it was very rewarding. But the game does have issues. And I agree with Finn. I think it's going to see a Switch port at some point. I mean, it makes sense. If nothing else, I think that obviously the next 2D Metroid will probably be a Switch game. I think this is probably the 3DS's swan song, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't know what you guys think about that, but I see this as being the last major release for the 3DS. And this
I feel like we have like one more major release left in the 3DS.
Well, I mean, but Pokemon's Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, though. I mean, we've already got Sun and Moon. I mean, these are enhanced versions of those games.
But it's the Ultra version, John.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're pretty significant. Like, they have a lot of new content. I think it's
more badges to fucking collect.
Okay, well, what about this, right? Like can we all agree that this is probably the last big year for 3DS releases with, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, and Samus Returns? I see. I mean, because we all know that the next, like the next main line Pokemon game they've already said is going to be a Switch game, and I feel like that right there tells me more than anything else. The fact that
I agree with you, mostly because it reminds me of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon remind me a lot of the DS's swan songs of Black 2 and White 2, where they were like, let's make one last round of quick cash on the Pokemon franchise for this dying platform before we just move all focus over.
Oh, and by the way, guys, I want to mention before we move on from Samus Returns real quick, the amiibos, like the one I'm holding here, are fucking fantastic. These are the best amiibos, and I've got an extensive amiibo collection. The Metroid here...
SDGC does not support amiibo.
We do support amiibo here.
Stats. We do not support amiibo. Please do not buy amiibo.
I actually just ordered the Animal Crossing amiibos.
Do me a favor. Oh, my man right there. Do me a favor, guys. Everybody in chat, go out and buy all the amiibo you can, or better yet, if you've already got an extensive amiibo collection like I do, please tweet them at BananaFactory87 on Twitter. I'm sure Jeff will appreciate that.
I'll only buy amiibos if you would like to.
So, the Metroid is squishy, and it makes a great stress ball for the more frustrating parts of Samus Returns. It's really, and plus the tube that he was in here makes a great shot glass. So this amiibo has multiple uses. But yeah, Samus Returns, fucking phenomenal game. And I am hoping that it heralds a return to form or a return to importance of the Metroid franchise for Nintendo.
Oh, not the last. We all know like the last best Metroid game was Other M.
You are outside of your fucking mind with that shit.
You know what? No, hold on. I'm going to dispel this right now. Metroid Other M as a game, quite enjoyable.
Good. No, it's not.
It is. I quite enjoyed it. And
outside I think it's a great. I think it's like a great game.
No,
I don't think it's a good Metroid game, but I think it's a great game.
It's a good game.
I enjoyed it. I even love Secret Boss where you fought Phantom again.
Did you guys in the chat?
Other M was a blast for like the $5 I paid for it on Black Friday. 2011.
Anthony in chat says the Metroid amiibo has hands down the best mouthfeel of any amiibo. All right, I want to move on to real quick. We've got a really cool topic tonight. Before we do, I wanted to ask you guys real quick about Doom on Switch. There's been a lot of talk about this on Twitter and Gaff. Previews came out today, and apparently the game is running at 30 frames a second on the Nintendo Switch. Which and a lot of people are swearing off the game. They're saying, "Well, fuck that. It's not worth it." You know, blah 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 blah. The game runs like shit. Looking at the off-screen footage, it looks fine to me.
It'll be fine.
It looks like it's running smooth. Like it doesn't even look like 30 frames a second to me.
It's not the best version of the game, but it's Doom on a handheld.
Everyone knew that.
Yeah, it's fucking Doom on a handheld. You're gonna make some.
Well, what I have a problem with is they're charging $60 for a game that's already like $20 everywhere else.
Will it have any additional content from the original release?
I don't think so.
The only benefit it has is like the multiplayer is not on the cartridge and like as an optional download.
And you can take it anywhere. I mean, I guess that's the other benefit, right? You can take.
It's unfortunate.
Is that really worth?
I would have been okay with like $40.
Are we sure it's full priced? Are we sure it's full priced?
Full price right now.
It's a year. It's
gonna be full price.
They haven't announced a price, I don't think. I would guess.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. If it is full priced, I'll probably buy it anyway. So maybe that makes me part of the problem.
Amazon's a pre-order.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, and you're not part of the problem. I mean, buy what you want, buy what you feel is worth the money.
Yeah, but I don't like the Switch tax.
No.
I don't. I know.
Switch tax sucks.
Well, and I know Gabe.
It kind of reminds me of when Bulletstorm came out, the remastered port this year, and it was like $60. And everyone's like, "It's not worth the $60." Like, I don't know, like.
Well, I just want to say,
Doom's been out for like a year and a half now. It'll be out for 2 years by the time it goes on the Switch. Like, it should be like a $34 title.
It should be, and I know that is something Gabe's brought up as well, is the fact that Switch titles tend to be $10 more than their counterparts on other platforms. I've seen Gabe complain about that on Twitter quite a bit, actually.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
I don't recall.
Or maybe it was somebody else. Maybe it might have been somebody else. I thought it was you.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Definitely not me.
I thought it was you. And by the way, Gabe, please, for the love of God, put a screen protector on your Switch, man.
Yeah, it's already on its way.
Oh, dude,
don't worry about it.
I don't know.
It's coming.
Dude,
Scratches are running commando.
Gabe,
the scratches are increasing by the minute.
Gabe, the scratch. Whenever you post a picture of a new scratch on your screen, like I die a little bit inside. Like
I find a new one every time I play it.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm still in that period where I baby the fuck out of my Nintendo Switch. Like, I've got the screen protector on it, and whenever I put it back, I usually just leave it asleep in the dock. When I pull it out, I'm like wiping it down with a microfiber.
Some of the scratches came from the dock, actually.
That's why you need a screen. Oh, dude, have you done the penny test on your dock?
The what?
The penny test.
No, what's the...
So a lot of the docks came fucking warped, which is what's causing the scratches. Take a penny and put it in the groove, and use your thumb and slide it up, and if it stops halfway, you'll know your dock is bent in. So you need to switch it out for a new one. And Nintendo will send you a new one. You can look it up on YouTube.
Nintendo will not send me a new one because they don't operate in Brazil anyway. So
I'll send you a new one. But you need to you look up a video on how to do the penny test on your dock and then do it. That'll tell you whether or not your dock is warped. I did it on mine and I was like, oh shit, my dock's warped. And luckily I hadn't docked it. So I went. I took it to GameStop and I got switched out. But dude, that's a legit thing. Yeah, I don't get the big deal about 30 frames a second about Doom on Switch.
Dude, it's amazing that they managed to get Doom on Switch, man.
Right? Like that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I know it's just off-screen footage, but holy fucking shit, for what it is and for the system it's running on, it looks fucking great.
Did you guys see the Digital Foundry video?
I did, actually, before they took it down.
Kind of PC with the same specs, and it suffered. It to try to get to 30 FPS. So it's Doom on the go. So if the price for it's 30 FPS, then so be it.
I thought it looked really
That's
good.
That's the thing. Like go back 2 years ago, or even a year ago, when we didn't even see the NX or the Switch, and be like, here, look, this is a handheld gaming device. Now look at fucking Doom on it.
Yeah.
Like everyone's mind would be blown.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
30 FPS is fine. If you care about the frame rate, play it on the platform where frame rate is like the thing.
Exactly. Well, and you know what? This this bodes well, in my opinion, for Wolfenstein 2 on Switch.
I mean, if you care about 60 FPS Doom, you've already played Doom.
Yeah.
Well, if you care about impacting the gameplay quality, you're not going to be playing on a tiny screen with little Joy-Cons, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly. Well, the thing, I am going to buy it because for two reasons. One, I just want to be able to. I fucking love Doom. I love it, and I want to be able to take it wherever I go. But two, I want Bethesda and other developers to know that I want third-party games on the Switch, because that is where I want to play. Right now, the Switch is my favorite console, and that is where I want to play all my games.
My problem with that mentality is, while it's cool, Switch is getting Doom, and it's even cooler that it's getting Wolfenstein 2, it's getting it so far after the other versions. And it's the same with Bandai Namco with Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. They're putting these games on the Switch, and it's like the Wii U getting Batman Arkham City and Assassin's Creed 3. Do you think there's an issue where, because they're getting these games months after everyone else had them, that there's just, first of all, there's just no way it's going to sell as much because of that? And then they're
options, but that's not the point, though, man. It's options.
But it is, because you shouldn't feel like, you say you want to support it to show you want third-party support, but I feel like it's a skewed perspective, because you're not going to see the same sales numbers because you're releasing the game so far after.
That is why these games need to sell, right? Because that will show developers that people want these experiences on the Switch.
I see both your guys' points.
It's good that they're on the system, and I want them to sell as well.
Hold on. I want Jeff to make his point.
There's different situations. So the situation right now, I will give these publishers and developers a pass. Nobody knew how the Switch was going to do. They wanted to wait and see, and it wasn't possible to have Doom out when it came up because the Switch didn't exist yet. And Wolfenstein 2, I understand they're working hard to finish that game, and they can't just throw another platform at the team and get it hit, so I'm fine with a couple months delayed. Now, fast forward a year from now to next holiday, if games still aren't day and date on Switch, but they're claiming to be 100% behind it, then that's a problem. And I also think that the publishers or the developers, the people running the sales, need to understand they need to be realistic with the sales expectations, because everyone has played Doom. So I hope they don't read too much into, oh, nobody's buying it on Switch, they don't want our games. I hope they understand that the audience they're going to get there right now is limited.
Well, I mean, didn't Skyrim already sell like crazy? Like, they already know that there is at least some audience.
I guarantee you Skyrim on Switch will sell fucking crazy. Like, it probably won't sell with the PS4 or with the PS3 and Xbox 360 version.
Wait, did Skyrim come out yet?
No, it's coming out in November.
Oh, okay. All right, I don't have a Switch, so I don't really know.
I would like to get Kyle's take on this, because Kyle hasn't spoken up in a while. And Kyle, by the way, dude, this is the kind of podcast, man, where you just fucking muscle your way in, man.
No, I just I have an opinion on Doom. You guys are all not gonna like. I don't like the game.
No, dude. You haven't heard Jay's opinions on Mario Brothers.
Actually, I'm agree with Kyle here. I don't think Doom's like a bad game. I like the gunplay of it a lot, but I feel like the old school design of it really hurts it. Like, I feel like a lot of the levels are way too long.
Yep.
So what did Kyle not like?
Part of it for me was, so I got it when it first came out, and at the time I was living up in Chicago. I was working up there, miserable job, so I'd come home at night and just play video games. It's like, all right, let me play Doom. This looks really fun. It's fun for the first 20 minutes. Then it just felt like I was doing the same thing over and over again, and I didn't really get put into it, so I sold it. Fast forward maybe a year later. This is only a couple months ago. I got it again, picked it up for like $15. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play through this time. This time, instead of spending about 30 minutes, I spent about 6 hours. Got pretty far. Still didn't really see what people like about it. It's an okay game. It's not a great game. It's not. There are some games that I will rush out to go double buy, if they come out on a system, whether it's like Destiny 2, which I plan on getting on PC as well as I play on PS4, or I'll probably end up getting Skyrim for Switch, even though I have that for literally every other console it's on.
Yeah, me too.
But Doom is not that kind of game to me. I just don't. I think a lot of it is people have the nostalgia feel just for playing the original, and it's such a classic, and so this is like, oh, it's kind of like a modern classic now. It's really cool, and I don't know. I mean, I get that people like it. I just don't see. I don't think it's great, and so I don't think whether it's running at 60 FPS or 30 FPS on the Switch, I don't think it's worth buying on the Switch at all. But I also don't think it's worth buying for more than like $20 on a regular console.
But that's allowed. I mean, there's nothing wrong.
Did you like Wolfenstein?
Yes, I loved Wolfenstein.
Okay.
All right,
I think
you are officially redeemed in
I think
Brandon's eyes.
Wolfenstein New Order is a wonderful game. I just don't think Doom is.
Right, and that's but that's so they're both fun to play, and Doom is definitely, it feels nice and it's very fun to play. I just didn't feel pulled into it. Wolfenstein did a great job of pulling me into it. Wolfenstein 2, I already know is going to do an even better job of just pulling me into the game and making me feel like, okay, I want to continue playing this. You know, kind of like we talked about Destiny with the story. I want a game that has more of a story and isn't just running around and killing stuff. And again, I feel like that's just Doom didn't really deliver that.
I like Doom. I don't love it as much as some people. I think part of the problem maybe that's getting to you, Kyle, is I think it takes a little bit long to really get going and really throw the real Doom at you. Like, the first couple levels are a little bit slower. You don't have the arsenal at your disposal, which I understand. They need to ramp things up, but it takes the real Doom to me is the last few levels where it's just non-stop shit being thrown at you, and you can't take a second to breathe, and you're constantly.
You have all your upgrades.
Yeah. And you're basically like a god, like you're unstoppable, and that's where it's like, this is really fucking good. But there is stretches of the game, I think, that don't reach that. And I agree with Jay. I think each of the levels is a little bit too long. Like some of them are like over an hour. They took me where they could be a little bit tighter. I think there's a few too many levels. I think there was like 13 or 14 chapters or levels. I feel like it could be trimmed down to 10, and just the whole thing could be a little bit tighter, but still a good game.
Well, here's the thing. It's all about, for me, a lot of the times it's about when that game comes into your life as opposed to the game itself. And when Doom came out, I was going through a lot of retaliation at work because I was a whistleblower on some abuse I saw, and things got really bad at me for work. So I needed a game where I could just fucking blow shit away and not worry about it. And Doom was that game. It came along right in the middle of all that bullshit, and it was the game I needed right then. So I have very fond memories of Doom, but having said that, we have all kinds of different opinions on this podcast. So I love Final Fantasy 15. I think it's the second best Final Fantasy, and people think I'm fucking crazy. So
I think it's the best only because it's the only one I've ever played.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's allowed too. But I want to move on to our final topic tonight. I think it's a really fun topic. I think the people in chat are really going to dig this. And guys in chat, please. And by the way, Anthony, real quick, says, "Does anyone go to Doom for story?" I'm sure somebody does.
I did only because I had never played Doom before. I never played the original, so because I'm a child, so I was like,
Doom.
Oh, this would be pretty cool. I'm interested to see what it's about.
Doom has the deepest
I didn't know what to expect.
Doom has the deepest fucking lore.
The deepest.
It's like Dark Souls. You gotta piece it together yourself. But we got a really cool topic tonight. So one thing we have not talked about on this podcast yet. We've been doing this for about 2 years now. Two years. Kind of crazy.
Over 2 years.
Maybe not old.
Over 2 years, yeah. I thought that we should talk about what makes a good villain, or some good gaming villains and anti-heroes, because depending on the game, a good villain, in my opinion, can either make or break the entire experience. Especially if that villain is well written and well voice acted. And we have had some really good examples over the years, especially with the advent of voice acting and games becoming more interactive experiences as opposed to 16-bit. As the medium evolves, the ability to portray emotion and to portray a living, breathing character has also evolved. In that same token, I feel like a lot of villains and anti-heroes from the 16-bit era hold up better than a lot today. So I thought we could go through and also engage with our friends in chat here. And talk about some of gaming's better villains and anti-heroes and what makes them so good. And I wanted to start. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to start off.
Okay. I want to go next.
Okay, that's fine. But obviously, the one that jumps out for me the most is Kefka from Final Fantasy VI. Of course, not everybody's played. I know, Kyle, you've never played Final Fantasy VI, but Kefka to me, when I was, if you play Final Fantasy games up until Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy villains were dark and they wore evil-looking armor and they came along once every few hours.
They were goofy.
They were goofy, and they
Kefka is goofy too, but
he's
way.
a different kind of goofy, right? Like these villains would come along to menace you, like every so often they'd be, oh, here I am. What? I'm talking about I'm talking about Kefka. Kefka was the first villain you saw. He was one of the first characters you saw in the game, and his power progressed as the game went on, and he committed horrible atrocities that, at that point in gaming, I had not seen yet. Like he committed genocide against an entire city.
I mean, the two moments for me were poisoning Doma and killing General Leo.
Yes, and like Kefka was.
Well, there's also the burning of Figaro.
The burning of Figaro, slaughtering the Espers, and then Kefka was the first...
He does a lot of bad shit in that game.
Kefka was the first bad guy I had ever seen who actually destroyed the world. He won. He won, and even though you beat him at the end, the world is never the same. The world is forever changed.
Yeah.
And he was maniacal and short-tempered and cruel and funny, and he had a sense of humor. And to me, Kefka stands as, even today, probably the best video game villain there is.
Steve would agree, I'm sure.
I'm sure Steve would agree if Steve were here.
He is my all-time.
Literally has a Kefka avatar.
He does. I mean, Kefka to me is just he's just a fucking amazing character. He's an awesome fucking character. And apparently, Mitty in chat says, podcast footage is having trouble running smoothly for me, getting a lot of lag. Mitty, I'm sorry. Maybe we won't do.
It looks fine for me.
Yeah,
I know Kyle's webcam's a little choppy, so I'm not sure if that's just what she's looking at.
And by the way, Anthony in chat says Arden, and I agree. I think Arden is the second best Final Fantasy villain, period.
I was actually mentioning Arden, but I'm not going to now.
No, but please. So I know that Finn wanted to go next. Finn, give us a good villain or anti-hero, man, and what makes him that way.
Kefka was my answer.
Well, I stole it, so you're gonna have to pick somebody else.
All right. Well, I think the second best one in the vein of Kefka is just as a great villain that you love to hate is Luca Blight from Suikoden.
Oh, that's a good one.
Absolutely.
That's a good one.
He's always like the second one behind Kefka for me, because when you play that game, just the heinous stuff he does and just the way he is as a character, like you can't help but hate.
He is pure evil.
Yes.
He is.
And it's like, well, Kefka's evil in the sense of death and destruction for the sake of death, and like he doesn't have a brand, like he didn't have mommy issues. He's not crying about Genova. He's not doing it for a lost love. He probably gets off on blowing up towns. And
I thought you were going to say something else.
It's just pure evil, like cold, calculating, and just the stuff he does in that game. I mean, there's a reason Suikoden 2 is known as just one of the best around
of all time.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with Luca Blight as a villain. And I'm sure if we message Jason Schreier, he would give us a 40-minute breakdown of why he's been better than anybody else. But he would be my choice after Kefka.
I was gonna say he's not quite Kefka to me, but Luca Blight is fucking.
Kefka's number one.
My only issue with Luca Blight is that they killed him off a little too early for my tastes.
He does die early.
Yeah, I was expecting him to stick around for the whole. I mean, spoilers, be squeaking into.
But I mean, that kind of also makes him interesting in its own right.
Well, it's the same thing they did to Voss Montenegro.
I was gonna say, but he's much more fleshed out than Voss was. So like his death is more satisfying because Voss's felt cheap, whereas Luca Blight's feels satisfying.
Well, they killed Voss off.
You want to see him die.
And Voss was fascinating when he was in the game. did I ever tell you the meaning of insanity? You know, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then they kill him off, and you get that generic German dude. And
Hoyt.
I'm like, oh god, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
Hoyt. That's
Hoyt.
He's so fucking unremarkable. I can't even.
I don't even remember what he looks like. I just
Yeah.
remember his name. Yeah, he's so generic.
No, dude, Luca Blight is a fucking fantastic choice. What about I want to move on to Kyle.
All right, so I was debating between picking a couple, trying to figure which one is like the most badass, and then I figured there's a lot, so I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to go as a huge Uncharted fan, Nadine Ross.
Oh,
who is
good one.
Technically a villain.
She is
in one game, and then not exactly in another.
Do you think that she's a better villain? Do you think she's a better villain than Rafe?
Yes.
So
because I like Rafe. The reason I think she's a better villain is more just because of the extra character development we see in Lost Legacy, where you start to feel a lot of empathy. You start to feel you actually care about this character that at one point you hated, because she leaves you there to die and screws you over in the last game. So I just a really fascinating character, because I went from absolutely hating her to thinking she was one of the best characters in that universe.
Yep, I can
just in back to just, I mean, those games are all great. I think the characters are so well written in all of them, and so I think watching her transition from 4 to Lost Legacy I think it just makes her very it might not make her the best villain overall, but it does make her one of the most interesting.
But you know what's interesting, Kyle, is that Nadine is a great villain in a series that I think we can all agree is generally not known for strong antagonists.
Oh, like the first game.
Oh god, yeah, I can't like what
Navarro. Eddie Raja wasn't even like the main villain.
No, he wasn't. Like, I remember.
I don't even remember the guy's name then.
It's Navarro.
It's Navarro. But the only reason I remember it is because Brandon just said it.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was completely unfair. And then you have fucking Lazarevich.
And the only reason I know it's Navarro is because I just played through the Uncharted trilogy before 4 came out.
And I gotta tell you, like, Lazarevich is up there for one of the worst final bosses.
Yeah, Lazarevich was pretty bad too. And then the douchebag duo of Uncharted 3 is
no, dude. Talbot was cool. Talbot was alright.
Talbot is awful.
Talbot was cool. Marlowe
is terrible.
Marlowe was a little better than Talbot. They're both
terrible. He gets like magic powers that are never explained.
He's a magician. He's a sleight of hand. He's a magician.
But why?
Because he's got that fucking hallucinogen that they found in the water. That's what's in the dart. Dude,
Uncharted 4 is the only one that has villains.
I will agree with you that Rafe and Nadine, especially Nadine, Kyle, is a fantastic villain. I would love to see a game focused solely on Nadine. So I guess in that way she's both villain and anti-hero then, right? Because she kind of becomes an anti-hero.
She is,
in Lost Legacy. And I never really got the sense in like I think for Nadine, maybe a better word is antagonist as opposed to villain, because I never really got the sense that she was a villainous in the sense that Rafe was. You know what I mean?
She's in it for her own reasons.
That's what I was saying. It's hard to define her necessarily as a villain, but she is the enemy. So villain's not the right word. Antagonist.
I mean, it's all a matter of perspective, right? Because I mean, like Nate the good guy? Is
depending on your perspective. No, he is.
So I want to move on to Jeff. Let's go to Jeff. Jeff.
But why?
What's that?
I'm just fucking with Jeff.
Let's hear. If somebody Jeff, can you give me a better villain than Saki?
Saki is the greatest hero I've ever known.
Everyone knows you just put a beard on something to make it the evil. So we just need a Saki with a beard.
I'm sorry that I have to be a substitute.
You guys were talking about Saki earlier, and I totally blanked out. I think you guys were actually talking about
like the drink, like Saki.
Yeah, I just realized now you were talking about. I was like, all right.
All right, give us a villain, man.
So it's funny, actually. I was gonna say Rafe, just because I love that Rafe's not the traditional villain. Like, he's not the most menacing, the most intimidating, but like, he was just so fucking good. But since we already covered Uncharted, I'll switch to another Naughty Dog game, and I gotta say David.
I knew you were gonna go there.
I'm sure this is a popular pick. There's a lot to choose from. David is impressive in a couple of respects. He's impressive because in a game full of shitty people and full of a shitty world, he still stands above all that.
He's
Yep.
And it's also impressive because he's part of a chapter of the game that's maybe 2 hours long. So it's such a short piece of the game, but when you finish, that guy is in your mind and you can't get it out. And you know, the writing is good like the rest of the game, but it's really Nolan North's performance that just like his voice, his demeanor. It's not shocking when the revelation happens that he's turning on you because you're always a little uncertain of him. But just like I will never forget those moments of that game and the satisfaction when I watched Ellie hack his face off.
Oh, so good, dude.
It's just good.
It was so good, and like I have to remind myself that that's Nolan North because of the fucking performance he puts in. Like it's so out of character for Nolan North to play to play an individual like David. And the thing about David is that, you know, he's a monster for sure, but he's not. You know, he's not physically imposing. He's not physically threatening. He's just a guy. He's just a guy in a situation, and that turned him into what he is. And
that's why it's so unnerving, is because you're like, hey, this is what people are becoming.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know anything about him. You don't know what he was like before.
That's true. That's true. I mean, he could have been a fucking child molester before.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you don't know that. That's what makes him even scarier.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about him.
But no, dude, David is an excellent fucking choice.
And I just wanted to give a shout out. You're talking anti-heroes. I have to give a shout out, which I'm sure is another.
To who?
Cook John Marston.
Oh, is he an anti-hero though?
By pretty much every definition of an anti-hero.
I mean, it's a redemption quest. He has to redeem himself for the things that he did.
I guess so. Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
You're right.
So,
I mean, I would say that Joel's another good anti-hero. As long as we're talking about, because I mean, Joel. I mean, I have actually seen people argue that Joel is the real villain of The Last of Us.
No, that's not true.
I don't know,
but there is no good guys and bad. It's not a black and white.
That's true. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Well, except in the case of David, who is clearly the black butt.
All right. What about Gabe? Gabe, give us a good video game villain or anti-hero, my man.
And I hate these kinds of things because I don't know if you guys know, but I have a terrible memory. So I can never. If you ask me, like the last game I beat, if you ask me the story, I can't tell you. I suck at it. I do remember that, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I hate Kafka, both Kafka and Luca as villains.
Oh, Gabe. Gabe.
I know who I don't like. I can, yeah. I don't. I just feel that like this. Like I said, I have terrible memories, so my memory of the game, of both games, may be a little muddy, but Luca, for instance, which was the most recent game I played Suikoden 2 about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, and I just didn't like how he was just evil for the sake of being evil, you know?
You didn't think he was nuanced enough, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I know it was it was a what, PS1 game? Yeah, right. It was a PS1 game, so I know the writing of games at the time weren't as nuanced and
Suikoden has an especially bad translation too.
Well, you know, Gabe raises a really good point. Right, Gabe? Like, do villains because I mean, those characters were limited by the state of the medium at the time, right? They were very one-dimensional characters. There was no. I love Kefka and Luca, but I can also readily admit that there's no depth to those characters at all. They're evil because they love being like Kefka. Literally, just loves being evil. He's like, I love it.
And I know you guys. I don't know when you guys played the game. You probably played.
I was like 15 years old, man. Yeah.
I was like 13.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I played Suikoden 2 like I said, I was in my 20s, so maybe I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia. I don't have this kind of nostalgia about the game. You know, I haven't played it at the time as it was released, you know. So maybe that.
No, but Kefka did have a reason.
I thought you were stupid kids and you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Kefka.
That's not what I'm saying, because I have played some games that I loved, you know, when I was a kid. That when I played as an adult, I thought, wow, that story really sucked. I don't know why I liked it.
All right, so look. Well, you know what? I want to bounce off what Gabe said. Before we go to Brandon, I want to ask you guys this: is there a like with the advances in the medium and the kind of innovations in storytelling that those advances have brought? Is there still a place in video games today for one-dimensional villains like Kefka and Luca Blight? Villains who are written solely for the purpose of being evil, who have no nuance or subtlety to them whatsoever, who basically, like the Joker, just want to see the world burn.
Yeah.
You think
But
so?
see,
Yeah.
Kefka had a reason. So
He didn't really have a reason though, man. Like,
yeah, the experiments that snapped his mind.
yeah, but
he was experimented on.
he was but we don't know anything about the man before that happened. Like, we are given no exposition about Kefka before that at all. We never see
But that
him.
answers the question: do you really need everything hyper like expositioned to have?
Well, that's the difference between Sephiroth and Kefka. Is that Sephiroth, you know, his entire backstory with Soldier and all that. With Kefka, he's just this unknown
I actually think
force of evil.
I think Arden is a much better villain than Sephiroth.
I'm not going to get into that conversation. we won't be friends after it. So.
Well, okay. Well, speaking of that, Brandon, give us I probably already know what it's going to be.
I got a good one.
No, let's hear it.
It's Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, there you go. I was waiting for Senator Armstrong, dude.
That's good.
Yeah, dude. I fucking love Senator Armstrong.
What was that?
And what makes him is okay. So a badass, memorable theme song that goes with him, like. And then his dialogue is extraordinarily memorable.
He's got some pretty amazing quotes.
Some amazing quotes. Some of Senator Armstrong's quotes
like,
are
I was a tight end at the University of Texas or some shit like that.
Could have gone pro if I didn't join the
Navy.
Navy.
That's right. That's what it is. Could have gone pro if I didn't join the government.
I'm not like those other Beltway pansies.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah. And then and I think Senator Armstrong is a good example of a villain that has no build-up, because he just comes kind of out of nowhere, like right at the very end. He's like, all right, let's fight.
He's a giant, muscular, roided-out U.S. senator with a receding hairline and these nerdy glasses. From the face down, he looks like your divorce lawyer. But then
exactly.
But then he rips off his shirt and he looks like the fucking Incredible Hulk, and I'm like, what is happening in this fucking game?
Well, nano machines.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, dude, that's a fantastic. I was convinced you were gonna pick Sephiroth.
I wanted to pick something. I mean, Senator Armstrong is a very popular villain, but I wanted to pick something that wasn't like Sephiroth level popular.
So here's something that I am not surprised I didn't hear, but a little disappointed nonetheless, is Kain from Legacy of Kain.
Kain's in chat.
Is he in chat?
Did Jay give his villain yet?
Oh, Jay needs to give his villain. Jay, give your villain, dude.
Okay, I'm gonna do two quick ones because I couldn't decide between them. So, the first one is capitalism and consumerism in Katamari Damacy and We Love Katamari.
What the fuck?
Oh my god!
I fucking love Jay's answers, man. I love them so much.
Oh no, because you have to remember, Katamari Damacy was originally a game that was it was retailed for $20, and it was about just how we buy materialistic stuff. Ways. I mean, that's the whole point of the game. You're just rolling up all this shit to make new planets. Of course,
I swear, your
ironically, Namco kind of went against the whole message of the game.
I just kept pumping them out.
Jay, your fucking answers are the best, dude. You give the best fucking answers sometimes.
I love the first two games. I don't care for the the creator left after the second game too. So basically everything after that's just kind of
We Love Katamari and all these things.
That's fucking outstanding.
Ari's actually with the creator.
Oh, that was the
everything
second one. Okay.
Touch My Katamari.
I only remember the first two, and I
forever. Those are just Namco, just kind of trying to get the most money out of it.
I bought the first Katamari Damacy when it first came out. It was fucking amazing.
I've never played a single Katamari.
Oh, it was so good, dude. Back in the day, there was nothing else like it. There was absolutely nothing else like it.
Co-op mode where you guys you both play on separate controllers, but one person controls the left analog stick and the other person controls the right analog stick. But you're controlling one ball.
That's what I tell my wife. We're only controlling one ball.
It's really fun. And the second villain I've chosen is I'm a huge fan of Tony Hawk series.
What?
Oh yeah,
Like a really huge fan. And in Tony Hawk's Underground, they introduced a character named Eric Sparrow.
Eric Sparrow. Oh, I remember
The
Eric
most
Sparrow. Okay.
That
That is okay. I'll admit that is not a choice I saw coming at all.
And it's like you create your character, and like you have this white dude, right? He like knocks in door. He's like, "Let's go skate," and like you're like, "Okay, this seems kind of fishy. Like this dude, like he seems like he's up to something," and like you have to do all dirty work for him. But like once he gets the chance to like become a pro, he just kind of ditches you, and like you end up like getting like arrested in Russia, I think.
And then I'm pretty sure he gets you arrested.
Yeah, he
somehow.
does.
You have to and then like at the end of the game you have to like skate throughout the whole like map New Jersey to like obtain your demo tape back or something like that. Eric Sparrow's a bitch.
That game went places.
And in the second game Eric Sparrow's in it, but he doesn't play like a huge role, but like
the second one was when they went all like Viva La Bam with it.
Eric Sparrow, like the first like instance you see him, like he like pisses his pants.
Oh, nice. So,
which I think is like a cool way of saying like, hey, this guy was really lame in the first one, so like he's gonna be really lame in this one as well.
So, you know what? Like these are some really interesting answers, and I'm glad that we got stuff like this instead of like the easy ones like Bowser or Ganon.
Does anyone actually think Bowser's a good villain though?
No, he's an icon.
He's the worst.
He's an iconic villain.
He is an iconic villain. He's not a great villain.
Can he really be considered a villain when
he's functional?
He's Mario's historical. But like when you see these IGN lists and you see like Bowser at the top, I'm like, okay, like, I mean, he's a giant dragon turtle that has kidnapped Princess Peach a billion fucking times. And he's also he is the most ineffectual villain because he can't fucking hold on to her. Mario is constantly getting her back. Ganon is a better villain than Bowser, but he's also a safe answer, I think. Like when I think of a good villain, I think of characters like Officer Tenpenny from Grand Theft Auto 3.
Samuel Jackson,
baby. Like Officer Tenpenny was a fucking phenomenal villain. He was probably one of the best antagonists of that entire generation. Go ahead.
Can I piss everyone off real quick?
Please.
Ganon in Breath of the Wild is actually one of the worst ever. He stays in the same place, does absolutely nothing, gets no development, down like a bitch. So fucking easy.
I mean, his Calamity form doesn't go down like a bitch, but his Dark Beast form does go down like a bitch. I will agree with you there. I don't think he's terrible, but again, he doesn't really have any relevance to the gameplay at all. Like you're right, you don't see him until the very fucking end. But I really like the answers we got. Some more I think that deserve mention, just like right off the top of my head. I think obviously Arden Azunia from Final Fantasy 15 is a great fucking villain. I think he's the best Final Fantasy villain since Kefka. You've also got characters like Jack Baker from Resident Evil 7 is fucking fantastic.
Also have the mountains from Steep.
What's that?
Mountains from Steep.
The mountains from Steep. Saki from SDGC is just a really evil villain.
He's the hero we all deserve.
But yeah, I mean, there are some really great villains out there. I actually thought Gaul from Destiny 2 was a lot more interesting than I thought he was going to be. There was actual like nuance to his character. He was conflicted as to whether or not he wanted to forcibly take the light from the Guardian or have the Guardian choose him.
Maybe just be light on the spoilers since the game's been out like 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
I
don't really know.
The end of Destiny 2 when Godzilla comes flying out of the Traveler there was insane.
Jeff,
man, the Mothra shows up.
Jeff, I just saw you mentioned Prince Sidon in chat. That's a good one.
I was just talking about Breath of the Wild characters. I don't think he's a villain. Or is he?
I'm being sarcastic. Actually, Kogasu Chat says it's always like Bowser, Ganon, and Psycho Mantis. Psycho Mantis was actually a really good villain, I thought. No mention of.
We forgot Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog is garbage tier bullshit. Get this shit out of here.
I went up to her like a girl's house once. She was my girlfriend at the time, and like she wanted to play the multiplayer in Shadow the Hedgehog.
Speaking of shitty villains, Dr.
Robotnik
never accomplishes anything.
He never does shit.
I hate to.
He is Sonic's whipping boy throughout the entire series.
No, but guys, you're missing the biggest thing. The greatest villain in Sonic is Team Sega. Or Sega Team. Or Sonic.
No, it's Big the Cat.
Actually, I think
voiced by Nolan North. Voiced by Nolan
portion in Sonic Adventure.
So there's your connection.
Technically, gaming's greatest villain of all time is E.T. because he almost single-handedly killed the entire fucking industry.
In America.
So, I mean, really, E.T. is the greatest antagonist that any video game has ever faced because he almost killed every fucking video game. So,
in
fuck
America.
you, E.T. Well, no, that was a really cool topic. I love fun.
I just want to add real quick.
Please.
One that I was thinking of mentioning, but I didn't because it's probably too of a popular choice.
Oh boy!
But I think it's underrated because of that, and it's Joker from the Arkham games.
Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to agree with you on that.
Because it's easy to say Joker because Joker's iconic in just everything, but I think in those games he's truly might be one of the best Joker performances on any medium.
Well, especially
Mark Hamill's so fucking good.
Mark Hamill's really good.
Well, and especially in Arkham Knight, like
I grew up with the Batman the Animated Series, so yeah, I love.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean Arkham Knight. I meant Arkham City when he's dying, and you could really get like a sense of his desperation. Like he wants that fucking cure. He does not want to die, and it brings out a side of the Joker in that you really don't often see. You can actually almost see that vulnerability. Yeah, Brandon, that vulnerability breaking through, and that fear, yeah, Kyle, that's a great that's a really good fucking choice, a really good choice. The no mention of Albert Wesker, no mention of what's his face from no mention of the Tyrant, no mention of Sephiroth, which I thought was refreshing because everybody always wants to talk about fucking Sephiroth.
I mean, I would like to bring up Gigas from Earthbound.
I was wondering if you were going to.
I mean, well, I can only bring up one, so yeah, I brought up Senator Armstrong.
No,
yeah, like Gigas is great.
Gigas is one of the most disturbing boss fights of all time.
You cannot grasp his true form.
You cannot grasp his true form, dude. You can never
cosmic horror shit.
Like I remember playing Earthbound and fighting Gigas, and then you see like that fetus in the static, and I was like, what the fuck? And Gigas was such a threat that the only reason your party beat him, the only reason Ness and the rest of his friends beat him is because they literally had to ask, they literally had to fucking pray to God to like, please let us. Gigas was fucking outstanding.
Guys, I have an alert.
What's your alert? After that, we
Kotaku just tweeted out Taco Bell made a taco out of a fried egg, and it is delicious.
I see this.
What?
Oh, it looks so
they tweeted it out 2 minutes ago.
That's fucking awful.
Snack
Jesus.
taco.
Oh, that's terrible.
It
All right.
looks gross.
What even is that website?
All right, we gotta. All right, we're past our point here. We've hit an hour and a half.
It doesn't look that bad. It just looks like an.
John,
it was so bad.
It's not going to look anything like that when you actually get it.
It was so bad it cut Jeff off.
John.
What? What's up?
I need to stall the ending of this podcast for like 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
That's a very specific amount of time.
It may or may not be the amount of time Saki just called and asked and wanted to be able to say goodbye to everybody.
We're not going to. No. We cannot wait for Saki. I'm sorry. We got things to do.
Everyone in chat wants to see Saki.
We've got way too long to go. We've been around for too long. Saki will be back next week. People in chat are like, it's fine. You guys will get to see Saki next week.
This guy in chat named Matthew Finneman said he wants to see Saki.
Feynman.
He said that he wants to see Saki, so we need to please the fan.
I don't know who Matthew
Kugasu. We got Kugasu, we got Wiz Island, we got Dan. I mean, I'm just saying people.
Wiz Island is Dan.
I know.
You can't make. Don't try to make 3 people out of 2. But anyway,
those are some very Saki tactics you're using.
That's proper Saki propaganda. All right.
I just want to say I'm actually really offended that I was invited on and Saki was not here to say goodbye to me.
Wait, see. Why do you want to disappoint our special guest?
I'm just saying.
Kyle, why do you encourage this fucking bullshit? Kyle, why? Why, Kyle? All right, how long is it going to be before Saki is in the fucking building?
Like 2 to 3 minutes tops.
If it is not 2 to 3 minutes tops, I am immediately ending this fucking podcast.
Okay, guys, let's talk about what games we've been playing lately. I'll start off first. I recently bought a new 2DS XL, so I've been playing New Leaf again, and I've also been playing Dragon Quest VIII for the first time ever, and it's a great game.
I played Idle Champion.
I've been playing Nier.
I hate you all so fucking much.
I'm playing PUBG.
You know what? No.
PUBG is so good. Has anyone played the Fog update?
I have not been able to play the game at all because it will not.
I thought it would hide you, but apparently you get spited against the fog, and it makes it fucking awesome.
Nothing hides you in this game.
Where did he go?
Who did we lose?
We lost Matt, or we lost,
looking down the ground.
We
like
lost
he looks
Finn
upset
because he's gonna have his girlfriend put the sock on her hand.
What are you talking?
Out of context, it sounds really bad.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Look who's here.
Yeah, great. Let's get it over with.
What's up, Saki? Where have you been?
Working.
So, Saki, what do you think of video games and stuff?
They'd be cool.
Why? This isn't even good. Like, why did we wait for this?
They'd be cool.
Saki, we have a guest today, Kyle. He wanted you to be here to say hi to him.
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Saki.
This isn't even good.
I just wanted to watch John go through this. That's all I wanted.
It's not even witty or funny. Like, why did we wait for this?
Guys, we had a sarcastic time tonight.
Stop it, Jake. Okay, all right, we're done.
We
We're
don't always
done.
agree, but
It's
always,
over.
we might.
Guys,
we always keep it Saki.
Kyle.
You guys have a great
Brian
night.
did this
You
bit a
should
decade ago.
comment, and subscribe.
I want to formally not only thank Kyle for appearing on our podcast, but also apologize to him for this bullshittery.
Our special guest Kyle
I
and
can't-
Saki for appearing on the show tonight.
I can't believe
you guys
I
keep it
delayed
real.
ending the podcast for that. That is
Taco
what we
Bell
waited
for
on.
sponsoring our message. For sponsoring our show tonight. Go eat Taco Bell.
Please, everybody in chat, go to Taco Bell and tweet out that you need them to support or to,
Oh my god, I'm
to
crying.
sponsor Super Deformed Gamescast. Although honestly,
Stores now. Marvel vs. Capcom
Honestly,
Infinite
I'm so
is in stores now.
I'm so ashamed.
Everything's
and
in stores
disappointed.
now.
I
The
almost
games
don't
are
want
in
them to.
stores now. Stop at your local GameStop today
All
to buy a game.
All right.
Power to the players.
All right. Okay. All right. Anyway, Kyle, thank you so much for
Get
coming
one
on
sock
our
free.
terrible fucking podcast, man. We appreciate it.
That was fun.
Dude, it was so bad. It was so bad. Anyway, this has been episode 89 of the Super Deformed Gamescast. God, this podcast is terrible. We will see. Thank you so much for putting up with
It
our
used to
bullshit
be
tonight.
good.
It used to be really good.
We had a good run, guys.
This used to be a really good podcast. I will say, I will say that we've experimented with using OBS multiple times, and we really wanted to use Discord chat, but I think the fact of the matter is we usually get 30 to 35 viewers per episode live, and we've had like 16 to 17 tonight, and for whatever reason, OBS just does not send out notifications like we needed to. So I think next week we're just going to stick with Google Plus and count our fucking losses, because I do want us to I do want people to actually know that we're podcasting.
As a millennial who wants to be internet famous, I want the people to watch live.
Yeah, there you go, exactly. But yeah, so
hashtag Autotos.
I think next week, unfortunately, we're gonna have to go back to Google Plus because OBS is just proving
Saki.
that we're not gonna get the viewership we want. But anyway, I apologize for Saki, everybody, and as always, this has been episode 89 of the Super 4 Gamescast. As always, it's not always poetry. We don't always agree. Go ahead, Saki.
But it is sarcastic.
Saki bless, everyone.
Saki blood.
I can't fucking believe that just happened. We'll see you next week, everybody. Oh, you fucking ruined the ending. Goodbye.